Good morning. This is Mayor Jerome Prince. For the past several months, we have all been focused on a pandemic that has taken the lives of too many of our neighbors and has changed the lives for the rest of us. We've also been focused on keeping our Gary residents safe and trying to prevent the spread of COVID virus. Recently, we got a painful, stark reminder of another type of disease that has sickened our country since the very inception of it. And that is just when we think we're making progress as a nation and living and working together, regardless of our race, skin color, ethnicity, or any other difference, someone comes along and seemingly sets us all back a number of steps. On May 25th, a longtime white Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, murdered George Floyd after 10 minutes of torturing. Mr. Floyd had his hands cuffed behind his back, and he died with his face in the street. And to me, that's absolutely sickening. While Mr. Chauvin was killing Mr. Floyd, two other Minneapolis police officers helped hold Mr. Floyd down while a fourth police officer just watched. Days after, Mr. Chauvin was charged with third-degree murder. As far as I'm concerned, any officer involved in this type of activity should also face charges for the murder of Mr. Floyd. This murder has demonstrated that there is still a blatant disregard that too many people have for human life, especially when that life belongs to people of color. And this incident, this does not cut to the very soul of everyone. It certainly cuts to mine, and what I meant to say is it certainly should reach everyone. You should take a very hard look at your own humanity if something like that does not impact you to a degree that makes you concerned. For us, this is a lack of respect for humanity, and it has to stop. We absolutely must stop letting our differences define who we are and who we are to each other. Before I took office as mayor, there were claims of violence and brutality by our police department. I absolutely must say, and I want to be emphatically clear, that the vast majority of our police officers here in Gary are dedicated to public service, and they are dedicated public servants who sacrifice their well-being and their lives every single day for our protection. I believe that the bottom of my heart and soul, all of this is true, and I commend our officers for the work that they indulge in. I know that there's people who are going to disagree with me, and that's their right. There are people who want me to take a hard line against our officers, even those officers who have not had their right to due process. And when they've been accused of wrongdoing or that they don't agree with the decisions that other people have about a particular allegation or situation, I want to let you know, and I want to make it perfectly clear, that every man and woman who wears a police uniform and hits the streets every day to serve the public has just as much of a right to due process as every man, woman, and child that they are charged with protecting. That being said, I also want to make it emphatically clear that I will not tolerate abuse or violence from any police officer against the residents of the city of Gary. I expect each officer to carry himself or herself with respect and honor, but still, some of them, unfortunately, may make bad choices, and some may even have bad intentions at that time. If that's the case, I want you to know that we will do everything within our power to protect the public from those officers. Also, we will work thoroughly to review and investigate allegations of wrongdoing by our officers. In some instances, we absolutely will not be able to share any of the details if there is an ongoing investigation. We won't be able to share this with the public or anyone else who does not have a legal right to that information. But we will hear your complaints and we will act accordingly. I promise you right here and right now that I will stand with our good officers as vigorously as I will stand against anyone who seeks to harm my family, my friends and neighbors, and that also includes all of you. But we must start talking with each other instead of past each other. A great man once said that an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. We must not blind ourselves or each other in the pursuit of justice. But at this time, I want to invite the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, who also serves as the 6th District Councilperson, Mr. Dwight Williams.
Good morning. My name is Dwight Williams. I am your 6th District Councilman, as well as I am the chair for our public safety. We are coping with trying times currently as a city and a nation, and I'm just as disturbed about the unfortunate death of Mr. George Floyd as anyone else. African Americans have been plagued with problems of racial inequality and injustice since our ancestors were brought here to this country, as slaves. These past days, I have observed the effects of the protests, both nationally and internationally. Protests are a means of lifting our voice to be heard and recognized for social change and justice. History has showed us that change does not come easy. It will always be met with resistance. And from my experience, real change comes from resistance. Resistance can and will be swayed by perseverance and perseverance only. Together, through perseverance, we can get stronger through organizing peaceful demonstrations. As a child, I was raised to understand cool heads always prevail. I understand your need to protest and express your feelings, but I urge you, all of you, organizing, to do it peacefully, so your footprints will leave the right impressions. Incredible change happens in your life when you decide to take control of what you have power over, instead of craving control over what you don't have power over. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Good morning. My name is Richie Ligon, Police Chief in Gary, Indiana. On behalf of the Gary Police Department, we would like to express our condolences to the family and friends of George Floyd. This type of behavior is totally unacceptable, and we should not tolerate that by any police department. Police officers are people first, and they should always carry themselves with dignity and respect. Police officers should treat everyone they encounter as they would treat members of their own family. I have personally grown to respect our officers in and around our community. But unwarranted violence against anyone in our city will not be tolerated by any officer. Once again, my prayers and love go to the family that have lost loved ones to violence. Thank you for your love and understanding, and may God always bless you and keep you safe. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Deputy Chief Brian Evans. We in the Police Department extend our deepest condolences to the family of Mr. George Floyd. This incident is a devastating tragedy, and our hearts go out to all who are in mourning. We have all seen this horrific video that can only be categorized as a gross mistreatment of George Floyd at the hands of several Minneapolis police officers. These actions were outright abuse inflicted upon Mr. Floyd, and it is no way a part of any law enforcement officer's professional standards or professionalism. There is no justification for the officers acting in this incident, and it does not reflect the core values of law enforcement or even human decency. The Gary Police Department is committed to upholding the highest professional standards and the fair treatment of every citizen, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, age, or economic status. The actions taken by these officers in this case are not representative of the law enforcement profession as a whole, but are experienced by far too many throughout our country. We in law enforcement can and must do better. Again, my condolences goes out to the family and friends of Mr. Floyd, and you're in our prayers.
Good morning. My name is Greg Wolf. I'm the president of the Gary Fraternal Order of Police, Ben K. Perry Lodge 61. We would like to express our posture today in reference to the inexcusable incident that occurred in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What took place that day ultimately cost George Floyd his life. We are deeply disturbed by this. Do not and will not ever condone these types of actions. We as individuals take an oath, and we swear by it. We swear to protect ourselves and our communities, and that oath includes the preservation of life. The police officers in the Gary Police Department will continue to be there for you, be alongside of you, and continue to maintain the highest level of professionalism when engaging the community, no matter the circumstance. There were numerous things that happened or didn't happen, and quite frankly, our intent is not to armchair quarterback this tragic situation. What we do wish to convey to you is that you can rest assured that GPD will never operate in this manner and will always be readily standing by to render assistance and aid to someone in need. Whether you're a victim, a witness, person of interest, suspect, or an arrestee, we will continue to treat you with the same level of respect and dignity that we too wish to receive. We at the Gary Police Department and the Gary Fraternal Order of Police want to apologize to any and all communities that are affected by this incident. We want to apologize and sympathize with Mr. Floyd's family and his friends for their senseless loss. We cannot bridge the gap of community relations without your help. We implore all of you to aid us in unifying our community so that we may continue on the right path to true solidarity. Let Gary, Indiana become the example. Let us show the nation how to build and embrace true police-community relations. Let us become the model that the rest of the nation wants to follow. For the vast majority of law enforcement, the uniform does not define us. The person wearing the uniform defines it. As is with every profession, there are a small number of individuals who should not be in the uniform. But those few do not represent the overwhelming majority. We are still trying to figure out how to weed those individuals out sooner than later. Please take comfort in the fact that we as officers refuse to allow these types of incidents and actions to occur in our city. And above all others, we will be the first ones to demand accountability upon those who choose to tarnish the badge. Thank you, and God bless.
So thank you to Chief Ligon, Deputy Chief Evans, the Officer Wolf, who we just heard from, the President of FOP, certainly Councilman Williams from the Gary Common Council as Public Safety Chairman. The purpose of today's interaction was to, A, confirm that we all acknowledge that what happened in Minneapolis was egregious, but also to share with the community what our personal feelings are, not only about that, but how persons should be treated in our community. Is there work to do here? I believe we all acknowledge that, but what's important to know is that we're working towards that end. Under this new administration, we certainly have all concluded that we must work collectively, not only to protect the rights of our citizens, but certainly to protect our community at large. One of the things that's occurred over the last few days in several communities that are adjacent to us is that there have been a number of demonstrations. I believe wholeheartedly that the folks who organized those demonstrations had every intention to be sincere and to have their voice heard. But as often the case, there's always individuals who have other motivations and turn what starts out as a peaceful protest or demonstration into an opportunity to riot or loot or things like that. And fortunately, in this community, we have members of this community who are just as committed to the success and the reimagining and the rebirth of Gary, Indiana. And to that extent, I'm proud to say that we've only had a couple of isolated incidents that I believe weren't even related to the original matter at hand. I implore each of you to continue to address it in that manner. We as an administration, and certainly the folks at Gary Police Department, are willing to engage with everyone who has a concern and a voice, but we want to do so just as we came this morning in a very civil, organized, and structured manner. So very soon, look for additional information in which we will provide an opportunity to do just that. And as I've said over the last 90 days as it relates to COVID, this is another situation that I believe we will get through. But in doing so, I believe the only way that we can get through it is together. Thank you for your opportunity, and we'll speak with you soon.